Jonathan Gilliam joins us live from New York City. He's a former FBI special agent and U.S. Navy SEAL. Thank you so much for joining us. Jonathan,
Thank you for having me.
There is an investigation, as we've heard, but will this accident change anything within the U.S. drone program and how strikes are conducted? How big of a blow is this to the CIA?
I don't know if it's going to be that big of a blow to the CIA. I mean, overall, if you listen to your last report there, it makes it sound as though this was a catastrophic failure. But the reality is, if we take the emotion out of this, two really bad guys were eliminated from this war. And the fact is, we're at war. And I think real changes myself, and I'm saying this from somebody who has lost friends going and rescuing these hostages. And remember, this was not a hostage rescue operation. But, these people go over and they volunteer to go over and work in these countries that are just too dangerous for them to be in. And these companies send them over. I think there needs to be a real review as to who goes over and what they expect if they get captured, which is a very good possibility.
Sure. And, I do want to ask you, from your perspective, you've been on the ground, but we have two Western hostages that were killed. As we mentioned before, there have been hundreds of other innocent civilians killed. They maybe weren't from the United States and from Italy, but in all actuality, It appears that this program has killed more innocent people than the ones that they've targeted.
And I think, a big part of this comes from the fact that we don't have boots on the ground in the places where we are sending a lot of these drones. I mean, to have a better, more accurate target picture, you're going to have people in there. And I've been saying all along that just sending drone strikes or randomly bombing targets is not the way to win this war. And again, this is a war. We need to push forward in a coordinated fashion, because the truth is, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. You could be a target of terrorism that is sponsored by these Islamic fundamentalists. That's just the facts of what's going on.
Let's talk again about the intelligence factor here, the fact that according to the U.S. government, countless hours of surveillance was done to ensure that no civilian or hostage, for that matter, was in the strike zone. But 2 deaths later, what does that say about the intelligence that was done? How difficult is it to obtain this type of intelligence?
Well, if I was to take you and take you to a room with all the lights off and give you a rolled up piece of paper that you had to look through like a tube, and then I turn the light on and you can only look through that tube to gather information, and I let you go in 10 minutes at a time or 5 minutes at a time, and you come back out and you identify what you've seen, we'll try to put a picture together. That's the way intelligence works. The bigger of a tube that you have to look through, the better the picture is going to be. And when you don't have active ground troops in an area, you have to rely on sources or intelligence coming from other drones or satellites, and that becomes more difficult to identify, as in this circumstance, that there may be friendlies on the ground. And this, again, was not a hostage rescue, it was a counterterrorism mission. It seems as though the targets that they were probably looking for were hit, but unfortunately that intel was not clear enough to tell them that these two friendlies were there. And
so does that just say, again, how difficult the situation is, given the location of where this was happening and how the war, as you mentioned, has been changing over the years?
Well, we're in an unconventional war, and it's not like it was, say, in World War II, where you had two opposing forces that were easily identifiable. In this case, you have people that are from the region milking into the system and into the city, and it makes it very difficult. This is many people are familiar with the term guerrilla warfare. I like to use the term unconventional warfare, and that's, you do not have uniforms necessarily. You do not have specified buildings that belong to these enemies, so it makes it very difficult to go in and target where they are. And intel gathering it's a hard game to play.